Hello friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another week of your weekly readings, the collective reading. So first of all, I want to apologize today because I just finished up a 5K this morning and had a little bit of a rough go of it in regards to I was fighting with my water pack, and because it was so cold my water started freezing and I was fighting with the nozzle to try to get water out and ended up it went down the wrong way. So my throat is just a little bit sore from having coughed a lot during that episode, so I'm just going to take a quick sip of water, and I might take a few more sips of water as we go through this. Okie dokie. Awesome. So the energies have been really weird this week. I say weird. Different. I mean, of course there's, it can't go without saying that we have a lot going on in the world right now. And so I keep being reconnected back to this idea of, we have this sense of we have this idea of home in ourselves. And I think, if there is some sort of nervousness or anything related to what's going on with the world that you might be going through, of course, I want to be sensitive to that. But I also, in that sensitivity, remind you that home begins with you. Home begins with where you are in yourself. And I keep getting this, I'm still reminded of this idea of, there is an unconditional place of love within you that is held just for you to be able to return to whenever you need it. And so I remind you, when you do the work of being in touch with your spirit, you are doing the work of maintaining that internal home. And once you're connected with that internal sense of self-love, you can continue forward, right, with that. You can continue forward in your outer life, connected to that love, and show up in the way that you need to show up in the world, knowing that you have a home always. So let's go ahead and get an idea here of the energies. I'm going to use the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck. Sorry, you will hear me wheezing. Just all that coughing and everything just kind of, it really did a number on my throat. So, but I definitely want to get this collective reading out, because I'm facilitating I'll call it a workshop. I'm facilitating a workshop this afternoon, and I think it's been really cool. And I'd actually like to do a tarot and spiritual workshop just based off of the connections that have been made, like the timely connections that have been made in this group. But also yesterday I was talking about for the self-care tarot, I was talking about creating a group, having a group to discuss these kinds of things. So okay. And I also think that's part of the energy too, is there is this idea of a group coming together, and whether or not it's the group that I won't say right group. I think it is really thinking about, because I'm connecting with the energies of the, there was something that came out of the Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius readings that kind of progressed through this idea of groups. And so I feel like for the Sagittarius, there was something about it being like dangerous cult. For Capricorn, it was almost like, you know, this is home. But then for Aquarius, it ramped up even further to say, this is a group that you create. So that may have been the energy of those three astrological sign seasons, and maybe we're moving into something completely even beyond the idea of a group, which to me would be interesting to find out, because what does that look like, you know? So let's see what the energies are. I'm going to call in on spirit, and I haven't called in on the elements of air, fire, water, earth, as well as the fifth spirit, the spirit that connects and unites us all, to come into this reading. Thank you for the collective. Okay, we've got 2 cards out. Thank you, Spirit. We have the Poet and the Starborn. Wow. I have been thinking a lot about poetry lately. Like, I miss writing poetry. I actually stopped writing it because you know what? Yeah, I hate to dwell on the past, but the reason that I stopped writing poetry is because someone that I once thought very highly of did not like poetry. And so I stopped myself, and I think about it now, because I've been thinking about it lately, how I haven't been writing poetry. And I don't mean to make this a wine thing, but maybe it's like something you can understand. Maybe there's something that you gave up that you knew contributed to the health and the growth of your world and someone else's. Because okay, let's talk about poetry. The poet. Not even the poetry, but the poet, right? The way that I felt when I wrote poetry was that is the thing that connected me to, I see the starborn and I feel connected to everything when I see starborn. But poetry was the only way that I understood how to show up in this world. It was the only way that I understood how to process my emotions, process my feelings, because I was, I'll talk about it, because maybe someone can benefit from talking about it, and thinking about it. But I grew up, oldest child, and oldest child early on, I was kind of made to be a mini adult before I even knew how to process my own emotions. So before I knew how to process my own emotions, I had to learn that other people's emotions mattered more than my own. So when I found poetry, it was a way to really tap into the vulnerable parts of myself, the parts of myself that felt disconnected but wanted to be heard. And, it was just a very beautiful thing. And so when we look at poetry, I keep thinking, as I go through this thought, when I think of, instead of thinking of the poetry, we think of the poet. excuse me, there's a lot of, gosh, I'm clearing my throat a lot and I have a lot of thoughts. So let me take a drink really quickly. I don't mean to be a burden on your ears. So 1 second. So if we think of the poet instead of the poetry, I think of this class that I took in college. It was an anthology of American literature, and it was a pretty tough class because we read the story that the author wrote, or the poems that the author wrote, the poet wrote, and we also had to study the author's life, the time in which they lived, the time in which they wrote the story, and really get to understand, what frame of mind were they in and what environment were they living in. We had to consider the whole story, not just the story that was written through the poet or through the author. And so that's what I think when I think of the poet. We are in strange times, and what we write or what we say or what we express is going to be examined in the future and down the road and by other universal and elemental beings, and they're going to ask, what was going on in those times? What was that person living through? So it's a good time to write down what you're feeling, process your emotions in that way, in whatever way you are an artist or a poet or a writer, because I think poetry can happen visually, it can happen with words, it can happen, just by recording your own voice, things like that. So yeah, I just feel, this poet and the starborn, of course, is what is our connection to our spiritual space? How do we connect to the stars, the elements, things like that? Okay. So I'm going to put these up here. Hopefully you can still see those. When I put them up there, I'll pull them just a tad closer. And then quickly just read about what these archetypes are about. The poet. The poet's work is to feel immensely and not be afraid. They must seek out truth in the darkest corners of the world and carry it back for all to see. This unique capacity resides within us all, regardless of our relationship to creativity. Yep. When the poet energy is present, there is a call for deep honesty and reflection, for seeing the big picture within the little one. The poet rides effortlessly between the personal and universal. It's possible that others may not seem to listen or care about the poet's work, but do not be discouraged. The words of the poet ring true for centuries to come, soothing the wounds of despair and violence that captivate our world. The poet's work is never finished. Find your voice. That's it. Find your voice and trust that the wind will carry it. So let's read the Starborn. An elusive yet radiant aspect of the self, the Starborn archetype points to the cosmic spark of light that arrives with each being at birth. The moment the newborn crowns, whether vaginally or surgically, the royal stars above are said to constellate in a unique shape that maps our path in the world. You know what? I also recommend, if you haven't already, have a consultation with an astrologer. I find it very uplifting and insightful. So let's see. The idea of destiny is controversial, yet the Starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself toward a future that is beyond the mundane. When this card appears, travel back to your birth story for clues and insights. What did you desire when you were young? Practice seeing your life from a mythic point of view rather than as a series of logistics. Read the story of the three fates and envision yourself born under the stars with a unique destiny. To go deeper, you can read Tripping Over Joy by Hafez, which I will link to in the description. All right. So let's go ahead. Oh, wait. I was reading my animal spirit deck. I need my Wild Unknown Tarot. So let's get some tarot and get into these collective energies for the week of March 13th, 2022. I call on the spirit of the element of fire, water, earth, and air, as well as the spirit of the element, spirit of the fifth element, the universal consciousness that unites us all, to come into this reading with a message for the collective. Thank you very much, Spirit. Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. Woo! So many cards. So many cards. This is going to be a long one, and I didn't mean for it to be that. Oh, Spirit, be with me as I speak, because my voice is not the greatest at the moment. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is definitely a deep, there's this idea of going inside. Maybe even understanding where we might be overly dependent, codependent, that kind of thing. So let's get this out here properly. No, I think I can do this. Okay. So we have quite a few cards out here. Make sure you can see them all. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Empress in reverse. Have the Ten of Cups in reverse. Ace of Swords in reverse. The Two of Cups and the Son of Cups in reverse came out together. Then we have the Ace of Wands in reverse and the Father of Cups upright. The Ten of Swords. The Five of Cups. Magician in reverse and the Six of Cups, Seven of Cups in reverse, sorry. And then the Father of Swords in reverse. Okay. So yeah, there is an idea here with the Empress. Something about, I see working around or having some sort of codependency uncovered. And when I say codependency, from a spiritual level, the Empress in reverse, overall, the overall energy here is one of it's movement, but not wanting to move, right? It's as if you are you want to stay in place, but you can't. I mean, that's just it. You can't stay in place. You have to, and when I say move, I mean spiritually, you must move. Spiritually, you know, this is, the Empress is this idea of basically something cannot come through you at this moment. Something cannot come through you externally at this moment. You might be dealing with something that is happening strictly internally, and it is more than important that you take those moments, this time, very softly and gently on yourself. Have compassion as you're moving through this energy. The Ten of Cups is the Ten of Cups in reverse means that there is a bit of a release happening, an emotional release, something, your emotional world being turned over, and maybe you're discovering how to address that. Now, it is in the beginning position, so I feel like you're either already moving through that, or you've just come out of a really big emotional release. With the Ace of Swords here, it's something that you thought to be true, you found out was not true. The Ace of Swords in reverse tells me there was some sort of internal truth about you that you might have found out was not true. You know what? I also feel this is a release of, it's almost a release of tradition in a way. It's very interesting, this Ten of Cups in reverse and this Ace of Swords in reverse. Because water and air, they don't really affect each other. But here it's like, because of what was released with water, there was also this idea of a truth being understood as something that you have known all along, or thought you even knew maybe about yourself, is not true. And so here, with this Two of Cups upright and the Son of Cups in reverse, I sense there is an uncovering of new love, a new idea of self, a new sense of self, a new, how do I describe it? When I say a new sense of self, a new you is coming forward. The Two of Cups definitely is usually about like a soulmate. This is a joining of two, but I feel this is discovering a new side of you, a new part of you. And with the Son of Cups in reverse, the Knight of Cups in reverse, you're not very eager yet to share this side of you yet with the world. Because you're still kind of being in that kind of like a selfish mode of like, oh, I've discovered this. And it's very powerful when you discover a sense of self that is so strong that you want to protect it. You want to keep it to yourself. But I think at some point there's going to be some sort of unveiling of this. And I see that a little bit in this Father of Cups. A little bit, and I say a little bit. So the Ace of Wands is definitely about not taking action, actually. You understand you have a great power, but you're not using it. You're not using it at all. And I also feel there's a little bit of not using your feminine power. Either you don't know how to use it, or you feel like you need to be granted permission to use it, and that's not the case. Because I feel like this Father of Cups is you saying, I've discovered this cup. I've discovered this cup. I've discovered this new me. I've discovered this new part of myself, but I'm just not going to share it. I'm just not going to share it. And I'm going to move about this world with everyone thinking I'm the greatest and I'm the best, and it's just like, yeah, you're the greatest and the best, but it's, you've got this whole sense of self that is not available and not seen by other people. And it's like, why? I think that's the question, is why? So now we get to the Ten of Swords, which is interesting because I see the Ace of Swords in reverse, and now I see the Ten of Swords. And so now it's like, you have no choice. You're being confronted again, over and over and over again, by how strong you are and how much you are dampening your own inner power. This is sacrificing yourself for no reason. There's no reason to sacrifice yourself. When you don't show your true power, the feminine energy and this Empress in reverse, when you don't show your true power, you allow things like codependency and things like being manipulated, being walked over. That's what happens. And I feel like you learned your lesson here, and you've understood your truth, but you're still not doing anything about it. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, yeah, you've made a sacrifice. And so now we get to the Five of Cups. And it's, it's like, wait, you've discovered this Two of Cups about yourself, and now you've got Five of Cups, and you're not happy. And I think it's because you now understand that you keep trying to hide a cup and present it in such a way, right? Okay, let's put it this way. You keep trying to present a false cup externally. So people, excuse me. So people, sorry. I know this is like messing with your ears when I do that, so I'm going to take another sip of water. Five of Cups is about grief. It's about mourning. It's about paying attention to what didn't work. Because I think what's happening is you're recognizing what didn't work was the Three of Cups that you're mourning here, the three cups that you're mourning here are the fact that you knew something very strong about yourself and chose to keep it to yourself because you thought, that's not my strength. My feeling is not my strength. My emotion is not my strength. I'm going to hide it. I'm just going to hide it. And so now we get to the Five of Cups where you're hiding it. You understand that you did yourself a disservice. And so now someone has come in. Well, you know what? No one has come in. You recognize how you hiding that cup of love, that cup of love from yourself, your true sense of self, actually created a manipulative energy. So people see you as someone who is manipulative because you didn't share everything about you. You manipulated the energies. And it could be that this happened at work. Because the only thing that hasn't shown up on the board is the Pentacles. Because we have swords, we have a wand that's been, the Ace of Wands is in reverse, we have a cup that's in reverse. The only thing that's still here is Pentacle. It's still held up. You're still connected to the earth, but how long is that going to hold up? Yeah. Seven of Cups in reverse says you have no choice but to go with one cup. You have no choice but to present your true self. So I think the question here is, will you show up? Will you show up? Will you do the work of the poet and the star-born? Will you show up for yourself? Will you dig deep and go in and look for this cup of love? Look for this sense of self, this home in yourself? and develop that and present that love to the world, present that self to the world? Will you do that? Because if you don't choose to do it, if you keep it to yourself, to yourself, the world suffers. The world suffers from not knowing how you feel. The world suffers from not seeing your sense of self. The timeline, I say timeline, but time, I personally, I have to think of time. I mean, it's daylight savings time here in the US, so I completely forgot, which is, but I had no idea. I just woke up this morning, saw one time on my phone and then a different time on my oven, which doesn't automatically update, and I was so confused. But yeah, it is time to put your cup forward. Let people know how you really feel, that sense of home, and express it in poetry. Put it down on paper. Do whatever you need to do so that people understand. With the Father of Swords here in reverse, this is about selfishness and lies. Because again, it's swords in reverse. This is about someone who did something, it's the characteristics. When I speak of the Father of Cups, the Son of Cups, and things like that, and I speak as if it is a person, it could be you, that these could be attributes that you have, or it could be something that someone else has and you just maybe connect to it. Excuse me. But the Father of Swords in reverse, this is someone who used lies in a high position for their own gain and for their own advantage. Doesn't have to be you, but it could be you if you are being viewed as being, and I say manipulative, but it's like this covert kind of manipulative where you understand how people work, you understand how you work, and you held back on purpose. And because you held back on purpose, knowing that it was going to cause confusion, people are going to be like, well, why didn't you say that when you knew it? Why didn't you share when you knew the thing or the message, or you know what I mean? It causes confusion, and it causes people to look at you like, you knew this all along. You had the power all along to say the truth, and you never did. Because you were scared of your own power? It's really time to connect with your emotional power at this time. Because when you connect with, not just connecting with it, right? Because there's evidence here that you are already connected with it. It is now time to share that. You have to share that cup. You have to share your emotions, you have to put it on display. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be, I say have to be, of course this is free will. But I'm speaking as if I would honestly speak to someone I was mentoring, right? Like when you know something about yourself, and this is what the cards are saying, when you know something about yourself, when you know that you have this higher sense of connectedness with yourself, what the cup represents is connection with self, vulnerability, all the things that make a positive relationship with self now need to be modeled and shared externally. I don't understand what that means or that looks like. But there, again, we come back to the Empress in reverse. And the Empress is all about feminine power. You know what? I'm going to get my helper card out here to get really into this. Let's see what Empress. Let's see what the Empress says. Okay. The Empress. Nothing comes to royalty or being but through her. Right? That's power. Birth, fertility, earth, creativity. When you keep your creativity to yourself. Right? The poet. When you keep your creativity to yourself, I mean, who does that help? No one. When you keep your emotional creativity to yourself, well, who does that help? No one. I mean, it helps you, yeah, but it helps you navigate while other people suffer. Being a container for difficult experiences, it's time. It's time to let people know that you are that container and that you can handle things, right? This is stepping up into your leadership in a feminine way. Every time I watch, I have this video on YouTube that I watch a lot, and it's called, I think it's called Feminine for a Gentler Economy. And I think it's like Princess Noor and I want to say Sadhguru. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name properly. But every single time I'm thinking about divine feminine, thinking about Empress energy, I think about that video. And that video actually popped up for me this morning as I was playing, as I was scrolling through like YouTube, it popped up and I was like, wow. I could also talk about early attachment experiences, which I think the poet and the starborn also connect to. And nurturing. This is also Venus. So maybe this is something that happened while Venus was in retrograde. And you're hiding from the world. And the world is like, you don't need to hide anymore. Please, we need your Empress energy. We need this person, the Empress, in her full divine power, in her full power to come forward. We don't need this codependent, right? Codependent, weak person who is hiding their creativity. We don't need that. The world needs someone who puts their creativity on display, someone who is fully in their power, someone who understands that they can be a container for difficult experiences. They can be a container for chaos, right? Because if we think about the Empress, we can compare her to, of course, the earth. When we plant a seed in the earth, what looks like chaos, what looks like chaos when the seed bursts, right? If we plant a seed, when the seed bursts, it looks like to us chaos, but to the seed, it's growth, right? We don't need this. We need this. We need the Empress in her full power. All right. So let's get some guidance. Let's get some guidance. I want to do, you know what? I wasn't going to use it, but I'm going to use it because I was talking about Princess Noor and all those things. I'm going to use it. This is my Kali Oracle deck, and I've been finding it really powerful and inspiring, and I want to go ahead and try it out. The only card missing from this is Chamunda, which was the first card that I drew when I used this deck, and she is on my altar, and I love it. So let's get some let's get some chaos here. Because I think that's what's going to wake us up, is chaos. That's what's going to wake up this energy and bring her into her full power. We need protection, and we need to call on Kali. All right. Call on the spirit of Kali to come in to this reading and help this Empress in reverse turn herself upright. Help this Empress in reverse turn herself upright. Thank you. We have Bhuvaneswari. I hope I'm saying that right. Bhuvaneswari, number 19. So this is going to be probably a bit of a read. So I'm going to get a drink of water really quickly. Yeah, we cannot stay in this Empress in reverse energy. So let's read about Bhuvaneswari. Our cosmic mother is the light bringer, the sun and moon, the light of renewal and healing. She is the divine voice, the sound of creation, the sublime note that births a golden era. Hers is the capacity to create a clean slate and a fresh start. She is hope and she is arising. She protects and preserves that which is worthy of the heart. She shines in a perpetual state of divine beauty and radiance, reigniting our creative fires and attracting to us the most supportive and honoring circumstances. Her presence signifies utmost grace. Beautiful Bhuvaneswari, fourth of the Mahavidya wisdom goddesses, is colored like the rising sun with the crescent moon at her brow. She is the goddess of abundance and the kind priestess that provides the pathway to healing and fulfillment. She is the quality of preservation and sustaining nourishment. When we have fought hard to accomplish something worthwhile and honoring of the soul, she provides the means to protect it so it may endure. This may relate to a state of being, a project with heart, or a relationship karmically destined to unite and empower certain souls for the spiritual benefit of the collective. Her presence particularly relates to the divine beautification of the physical world, the bringing of heaven to earth. The name Bhuvaneswari means sovereign queen of the world, from Bhuvana, which means the earth. Look at that, the earth. The earth, our world, and Isvari, which means female ruler. Is that not perfect? Is that not perfect? If there is a situation in your physical life that has ugliness and discord at its heart, the appearance of Bhuvaneswari signifies that it shall be healed and realigned through her grace. Believe in the beautiful possibilities of what you are yet to experience rather than placing your faith in what you have experienced thus far. Her presence in a reading signifies harmony and beauty, awakening in your world in a very tangible way. As the creatrix of the forms of all the worlds, including the world of our bodies, she holds a special power to work on the physical level to bring healing to our bodies and material life circumstances. As the energy of fulfillment, wellness, and vitality, Bhuvaneswari is the divine feminine medicine for those who run their energy levels to depletion, hovering somewhere between exhaustion and barely scraping by to meet all demands. Wow. She can help us replenish and to learn what it feels like to operate from a place of fullness. So what we give does not deplete, but encourages us to open more, to receive more, so it overflows. When such a giving takes place, we are strengthened and uplifted. In a reading, she indicates a shift from poverty, consciousness, and lack to prosperity, consciousness, and abundance. Bhuvaneswari is the primordial, creative, divine power of sound. She is the goddess, Vak, who emanates as Saraswati, the goddess of sound, music, creativity, knowledge, and healing. And what did I say earlier about the poet? It doesn't have to be just in written form. It could be audio, could be video, you know. All created phenomena have a sound frequency. It may not be physically audible, but the vibration can be felt at a soul level. If it vibrates higher than we do, it will uplift us. If it vibrates lower, we may feel pulled down or depleted by it, unless we can remain peacefully anchored in our true frequency, in which case we tend to influence lower energies and uplift them with our presence. Look at that. Everything has a frequency, from the people and places we connect with to the energies that permeate and influence the space where we live, and the objects with which we surround ourselves. All things have a story to tell. The more sensitive we become, the more we will feel and potentially be moved, positively or not, by that story, right? The more sensitive we become, that inner cup, right? To surround oneself with that which speaks the story that heals us, that supports and inspires us, can be constructive for our well-being and spiritual progress. In a reading, Bhuvaneswari brings your attention to the influences in your life, asking you to note how you feel around certain people or places, and to consider how to protect and uplift your energy. Bhuvaneswari's gift of preservation is the counterbalancing power to Kali Ma's destructive energies. With Kali breaking through false foundations, Bhuvaneswari can help to rebuild and preserve what is true to the soul. When Bhuvaneswari arises in a reading, she is asking you to take note of what needs to be preserved, protected, and secured, even during the wilds of Kali Ma's transformational activities in your life. Sometimes, a period of withdrawal to allow for protection and inner strengthening is helpful. Occasionally, we simply need to place what is precious away from the grasping and greed of unworthy hands. You can genuinely love and wish for the spiritual fulfillment of all hearts, while still recognizing the limitations of yourself and others and responding appropriately. Bhuvaneswari helps us to see clearly by increasing the light in our lives. Her presence is also an indication that at some level you need a completely fresh start, and she will facilitate this inner reset if you are willing to allow it. This will bring you freedom and energy to reach new heights. The invocation ritual. And I'll take a second and pause and let you get into it. So just I will try and mark this point at the video as well, so you can also come back to it. Okay, so this comes with a prayer and then a physical visual. So you'll have to like move yourself, move your arms. Say the following prayer aloud. Beloved Goddess of Universal Light, Bhuvaneswari, our beloved rising sun, priestess of the crescent moon, bejeweled and abundant with golden grace, soft with compassion, generous source of all prosperity and hope, you nurture our souls. You are the gift of sustaining grace. You are the wisdom of sustaining protection. I open my heart to you, welcoming you without hesitation into every aspect of my life, in every dimension of my being. May my soul be an altar to your love, wisdom, and grace, for the spiritual benefit of all beings. May I live in complete integrity and harmony with your will. As above, so below. Jai Ma Devi. Jai Ma Bhuvaneswari. So now you are to open your arms above your head. Visualize, intend, or imagine that a radiant golden goddess is shining abundant grace into your arms. As you slowly draw your arms down alongside your body, you are gently guiding a column of her golden light around your form. When your hands are pointing down toward the earth, the column of grace and life moves into it, bringing blessings into the earth's subtle body, where they can be distributed as needed for the spiritual benefit of all beings. Repeat this movement to generate the column of grace 8 times. When you are ready, finish with your hands in prayer at your heart. You have completed your invocation ritual. Okay, friends, thank you for joining me for this week's collective reading. I hope it was of benefit to you. If you would like a written tarot reading, they are a little more personal, and we can do that. I've also got virtual sessions available, virtual one-on-one tarot, and one-on-one shadow work sessions as well. Just take a look at my website. Thank you so much for joining me. Can't wait to see you. We also have a full moon in Virgo coming up this week. So look forward to sharing that with you as well. Thank you so much. Have a great week.